Over the years, I have purchased several dozen properties of various kinds in countries all around the world, and I've helped people do that hundreds of times more. And I've realized a lot of benefits from doing that. In fact, the only real bad property deals I've done in recent years have been in the United States, where I'm from. So in this video, we're going to share 6 unique benefits for investing in global real estate. I'm Andrew Henderson, and I can count to 6. I'm going to share with you six benefits to owning global real estate in this video, and explain to you why you might want to consider buying property outside of your home country. Now, we talk a lot about living overseas here at Nomad Capitalist, why you should move overseas for tax benefits, for lifestyle benefits, to create wealth faster. But you don't have to leave your country to invest overseas. A lot of people are taking their money and they're going where they're treated best. They're selling properties in the US and Australia, Canada, wherever, where returns are low, regulations and tax are high, and they're moving elsewhere. So really the number one reason why you consider buying real estate in another country is you want a higher return. I have a friend who runs a property fund, for example, in Cambodia. Not only can they make 7 or 8 or 9 or 10% rental yield every year in core city center, solid TRA properties, but they can also make between 10 and 15% in appreciation every year, actually audited appreciation. Now, I'm not speaking to his numbers, but that's a pretty good example of what you could expect. I talk to folks who are from Australia, for example, and they're almost always getting 1 or 2%. It makes me go nuts to hear how low the returns are. And so not only can you get higher returns, but you can protect the downside, because some of these markets haven't gone down in 10 or 20 years. They've got the demographics behind them, and they continue to grow, whereas a market like a Sydney or a London or New York may be somewhat cyclical, and you may end up get stuck holding the bag. So higher returns, possibly more downside protection in foreign markets. You can earn a lot higher yields, and you can grow the value of that property a lot faster. The number 2 reason that people look at global real estate is the idea of asset protection. Okay, this is a kind of a form of government insurance, which I'll talk about in a moment. But if you are worried about a frivolous lawsuit, for example, certainly there are ways in the U.S. to protect your properties from those lawsuits. But by having it in another country, you're giving yourself protection from a whole host of issues. Now you're saying, okay, here's the turf on which my property sits. If you'd like to get it, you've got to come over here. And so it makes it difficult for frivolous stuff to happen to you. The number 3 reason is government insurance. What's happening in your home country. And a lot of people understand this better in China or in India or in Iran, Brazil. We always think that those are the countries where people need to come and bring their money. And sure, a lot of Chinese people have bought property in New York, for example, Los Angeles. To them, that feels safe. But what if you're a US citizen? What if you're from the Western world? There are a lot of freaky things going on right now. In addition to the lower returns and instability, there are a lot of freaky things that are going on in those countries that might be worth protecting yourself against. It's one thing to buy an insurance policy and end up paying money, but if you can earn a higher return by having a property in an emerging market that has a better growth story, and you can protect yourself not only on an asset basis, but just protect yourself from some of the madness that's going on around the world, to me, that is a win. And on that level, number 4, if you're a US citizen, and some other countries' citizens too, foreign real estate is actually one of the few ways that you can legally have a non-reportable asset. Okay? So if I'm a US citizen and I want to buy a house or some land or whatever it may be in another country, I can do that. I can wire the money overseas. I can pay in cash. I can do whatever. And there's actually not an IRS form on which I need to report that. There is FBAR, there is FATCA. You have to report a lot of your assets. The 2 that you don't are foreign real estate and gold, precious metals in a private vault, right, outside of the banking system. For a lot of people, real estate is interesting because, yes, you do have to report and pay tax in the US on the income from any property, but if you just want to park money somewhere else, you can park money in foreign real estate, enjoy appreciation benefits. You'll pay capital gains if you're still a US citizen when you sell it, but you can enjoy knowing that I have an asset that is relatively safe and it is non-reportable. Number 5 reason why you might consider buying real estate overseas won't apply to everyone, but that's for tax benefits. Now, if you are the aforementioned U.S. citizen, you are going to pay tax on your passive income no matter where you live in the world. There's not even a credit really to exclude your passive income. If you're just investing in real estate passively as a U.S. citizen, doesn't matter where you live, you're going to pay tax. And so if you buy a property in Bulgaria and you pay 10% tax, the U.S. will give you a credit for that 10% and you'll pay the rest. So you don't really save any tax as a U.S. citizen. But what if you were to give up your U.S. citizenship, or what if you're a citizen of a country like Canada or Australia where you can leave that country and then go and live a tax-free lifestyle? Or what if you're living in a country like Singapore where they don't tax your foreign investments? They only care what you do in their country. Well, in that case, let's say you live in Singapore, let's say you don't have a citizenship-based tax obligation, and then let's say you go and invest in property in Georgia or Montenegro where taxes on rental income are 4.5% and 5% respectively. Well, now you're paying 0 where you live, you're paying 4.5% or 5%, and you can potentially get a higher return, but you're also keeping more of that return. So there is some tax planning that goes into it for everybody, but for the right person with the right situation with the proper planning, you can reduce the tax burden substantially to 0 in very rare cases or to somewhere in the single digits. And the number 6 reason why you'd want to consider buying foreign real estate is it's just part of a general diversification strategy for your life. Maybe you want to live there in the future. Maybe you want a second home to go to spend part of your time. Maybe you can get a residence permit in that country by owning property. And if you spend some time there over the next year, 2 years, 5 years, you can become a citizen of that country. And maybe that citizenship gives you other opportunities for a safe place to go. Maybe you're someone who's worried about chaos in the world and you want a place to go and escape crazy stuff that could happen. You know, you see riots in some of these places. You see some weird stuff happening. Maybe you just want a home that you can go somewhere and you don't have to worry about finding a rental. You don't have to worry about living in a hotel. So whether you're avoiding something negative or whether you just want to enjoy, running something positive. I was with some folks last week in Montenegro, and they just fell in love with the idea of spending their summers on the coast of Montenegro, as I do, and it's just beautiful. And so to own a property there in a market where prices have historically gone up pretty consistently, and to not have to go and pay rent, and to know that you always have a place to go. It's just a home. It's part of the strategy of creating bases or giving you the option to create bases in the future. It allows you to create a lifestyle and be diversified. And I think that property for a lot of people is actually a good first step because you're not forced to leave your country. You're not forced to, leave your family, leave your friends. You could just go and buy a property. And maybe that comes with a passport, residence permit, whatever else. Maybe that allows you to open a bank account in that country. But property for some folks is a good first step because it gets you ingratiated to the idea of living the nomad capitalist lifestyle that, hey, you can just dip your toe in, buy a property, see how it feels, and from there, once you start taking action, once you start doing something, if that's your first action, I think it'll start to lead to more. So those are 6 important benefits for why you should consider buying real estate in another country. And I definitely think it's something that everyone with wealth should strongly consider to go where they're treated best.
I'm Andrew Henderson, and if you're looking for a way to legally reduce your taxes, build your freedom, and create wealth faster as a global citizen, then you've come to the right place. I want you to do 3 things right now. Number 1, click the button to subscribe to our channel. Make sure to get notifications so you never miss a new video. Number 2, get a copy of our #1 best-selling book, Nomad Capitalist, on Amazon and learn all of the dozens of benefits of our lifestyle. And number 3, if you're already a 6 or 7-figure entrepreneur and you want to put these strategies in place, go to nomadcapitalist.com and find out how to get some help.